Just for the record, of course, the pad is over there, so please feel free to scan it and to ask our questions. Are there some questions already, Pete?
Yes, there are already some
Oof.
questions. they're
It will
they're
help us.
racing to write them.
Yes.
First question: do you have any plans to support payroll for UK companies?
Do you want me to answer? My answer is short. I don't know.
Um, we have a colleagues for that that work in the payroll team, and they take the lead on that. I know for sure that we did it for Belgium and Australia, so it's certainly a possibility, but we are not the best person to answer.
They can maybe also go to the product owner's booth. There is an
Definitely.
HR booth over there as well. I think so.
Yeah.
So it's maybe easier to ask them. I think Fabian announced some of the payroll localizations we worked on. I'm not sure that the UK was in there. I don't think so.
I'm not informed about that, so
No, me neither.
I
So
can't tell.
best would be to go to the booth. So it's not a real answer to your question, but it would be easier for you to check directly with the HR, the payroll team.
Okay. Well, there are more localization questions. Um, one is: are you planning on having batch payments for Mexico?
I think all the questions are going to be for you, Benjamin.
It's not identified yet on the roadmap. We were talking about the UK recently, and we implemented the solution for the BAX solution, if I remember well, which is in the UK. So again, why not? I can't promise. We have to identify the need, the demand. But Mexico is a key country for us at Odoo, as you might know. So it's likely we could do that, but okay, then we need feedbacks and to dive into it.
You worked a lot on the Mexican localization this year, right? You
We
have
did a lot of
new
things in
products.
Mexican localization, but when I talk about Mexican localization, it's more accounting focused.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Another localization question this time. Are there any improvements to the stability of bank syncs across different connectors?
I can start if you want, and feel
Yeah,
free to
feel
add.
free to start.
I think it's because in service team we receive a lot of those kind of questions. What about the stability of the banks? And so everybody comes to us as being the editor, as being Odoo, and we of course we understand. But like you already said multiple times, we support 27,000 banks worldwide. So of course we didn't create all of these connections ourselves. We took some third parties that helps us in order to sync, and because we interface with one of them, we have multiple banks directly. So it's always a complicated answer, if in my opinion, because we have three different parties in there. We have Odoo, we have the intermediate, and we have the bank. So most of the time, the problems that arrive in the stability of the synchronization comes from the bank or the intermediate, and we as Odoo, we cannot always do more than create also a support ticket with them in order to see what's wrong. And so it's always, of course, it happens from time to time that it's in Odoo as well. I'm not going to say that it's only the bank or the intermediate, but it's a tricky question, I believe, because we're not alone in the right.
I totally agree on that. It's a chain, as you said, with multiple players, and each player must play his part in order for the service to be good enough and satisfying. The thing is that we identify some places where we can do an extra effort in order to take the lead on what we can do, even though it might not be our part. And for example, we implemented in V17, in Odoo 17, we implemented a tool that detects missing transactions. So somehow we are talking about stability here, fetching transactions, and when the user is facing a hole, a transaction or multiple transactions that would be missing, the accident is there. How can we help him? So we try to do this extra effort to not only explain that there is a chain of players, but to help identify and solve the issues that could arise. And not all transactions are problematic, so many synchronization happen and go well. On top of this missing transaction tool, we are considering implementing a tool to identify the duplicate transactions. There can be holes, there can be duplicates. So we do this, we are aware of that, and we do the extra effort.
I think it's also quite new, right? So banks are also obligated to open their doors for software providers. So I think maybe it's also not super stable for the moment because it's new for them as well. They need to put effort in there. It might come and become better and better over time as well, no?
And potentially, depending on the bank, they are willing to play the game or less willing to do it. So it's a transition at the moment. It will depend as well on the countries that are concerned. Is it a country with DSP2 within Europe? Is it a country with open banking? Is it an area of the world where there is no open banking yet? So really, the answer depends on each and every situation.
Okay. Another question. How would you recommend approaching a finance team who are used to Sage and skeptical of Odoo?
I would suggest to contact us and we will show them a demonstration. No, I'm just joking. If I can answer with every single accounting firm we discuss with, I always ask them, why are you interested in Odoo? Are you happy with your software today? Because if you're happy using the one today, why would you switch? It's a lot of effort for an accounting firm to switch from one software to another. I think they have a lot of work and they know what to do, so they don't always have the time. So it's very impactful for them to switch from one software to another. So in the first place, for me, I always want to be sure that they switch to Odoo for the right reasons. For example, I sometimes have people in the class, they say, yeah, it's great, you're talking about artificial intelligence and automating the accounting and blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. Just show me how I can create a bill manually. I said, okay, but why would you like to change in that case? I think, first of all, the question is more about the switch to Odoo should be a switch for a good reason. And I think Odoo is not a typical accounting software. And we don't want to be a typical accounting software. I think the advantage of Odoo is also the fact that we have another vision than a traditional accounting software. We have a vision that customer and accountant can work together on a single platform, and that in the first place should be, let's say, the key reason. I don't want to compare ourselves with other competitors. I think everybody does accounting. Like us, all the main features of accounting you will find in all kind of accounting softwares. But if you want to switch for Odoo, if you ask me, it should be for the right reason. And for me, the right reason is to have another vision on how accounting will evolve over time. And for me, it's all about the real-time accounting and working together on the same platform. And I'm pretty sure that Sage is a great accounting software as well. For the rest, I think it must be.
I think I would add on top of that, I totally agree, but I would add that Odoo is using its own tools. So it's the guarantee that we are always concerned about what our colleagues have to do, the efforts they have to do on a daily basis. We are very well aware of the needs. And on top of that, even the people who sell Odoo, who develop Odoo, who think how it should evolve, are Odoo users themselves for their own needs. So it's really something that enriches itself because we are very close to the needs of the daily users.
Yeah, totally agree as well. Maybe before we dive into the next one, I maybe want to add another thing. I think everybody loves to talk about real-time accounting. And my personal opinion is if you still work on a separate tool and needing to have some interaction with different tools in order to obtain all of that, you will never arrive at the real-time accounting. I think the added value, the force of Odoo is that everything is, let's say, in the same single tool, which makes that the real-time accounting is real and is happening because the customer or any kind of stakeholders work together with the accountant in the same tool. They see what the others are doing. It's not that they send documents over a wall and they don't know what happens with it. No, for me, real-time accounting is that all of the parties work together on the same platform, and I think that's the biggest difference against the other traditional accounting softwares that are working on their platform and need to interface with the management software of the customer.
That was a very good answer.
Thanks, Pete.
A longer question now. How to do a currency exchange reassessment in Odoo? Not an unrealized exchange rate reassessment, but a realized one. I know that there is the analysis of unrealized exchange rate, but a reversal date is mandatory. How to adjust the currency before closing the fiscal period?
I'm not sure. Did you understand the question?
Not fully.
Because I'm not sure if it's now realized, unrealized. Both are mixed. Uh, not an unrealized exchange, but the realized. I know that there is a. I can only intervene on what I can read. The reversal is mandatory. Yes, well, I believe that it's mandatory for the simple reason that, and that's why I'm not sure that I understand well the question, because as long as it remains unrealized, well, you should reverse it, because it will only be active or real when it will be realized on the moment of the payment. So the reason why we force the reversal is because as long as it's unrealized, it's only to update your balance sheet and accordingly with the currency rate of the closing rate. So there is no reason why we should not reverse it, because at that moment when it's realized, well, it remains open.
And once realized,
Can you say?
why would we? The question I would ask is, why would we reassess something that has been done? So if we didn't answer properly that question, please feel free to come. But as Winan said just before, the unrealized reevaluation which is done is just like taking a picture at some moment in time of what would my situation be if it was realized, but it's not.
Yes.
So it's just a picture that we take, but at the end of the day, this picture is not the truth. It has to be evacuated, reversed, because maybe the next day it will be realized. But as long as it's unrealized, it's temporary.
Just to make sure, the unrealized one is indeed something that you need to do manually because you define when you want to update your balance sheet. Just for the record, the realized one is completely automated. I guess you already know that, but just wanted to be sure. That one is completely automated based upon the transaction. As from the moment that you validate it, we make sure that we reverse the difference and write off in your P&L accounts.
Next question then. When is automatic uploads of the SEPA XML to bank available?
Not sure, but I have a feeling I know who asked that question. So I'll answer again now. Sorry that I didn't answer it before. So I think for the moment there is nothing planned. We already tried to do it, but I think again, because it's in development, it's more your cup of tea. But I think we want to do it, right?
We used to say in R&D that planning is guessing, so we never announce any estimated time to achieve. What we do is we achieve at some point, and I know for sure that we have a developer. It's confidential, but we have a developer in the team right now working on that. But no estimated time to achievement.
But we already worked a little bit on it this year, right? It's just that we had
We
other
already
priorities,
started.
maybe? Yeah.
We already started.
Because at some point there was also, I don't know if we can debate it for now, but there was also a part that not all the different providers support the batch payment, right?
The thing is that we identified that one of the things that matters is that we want to avoid the users to register payments, then validate those payments, then
One by
send
one.
them to a provider and validate again. And we look for a solution where this validation process can be in batch. It matters that it's not a validation individually of each and every payment. And we know for sure that we have potential partners willing to help us on that. It will be again a chain, like for the fetching of transactions. It will probably involve subcontractors as well. So this is why it's kind of something we have to do still, and it's hard for us to announce an ETA. But well, I can tell we already started trying to get exactly the approach that we must have in R&D.
And I think what you meant also is that for the moment it's one by one, so it would be a regression against the SEPA file that we have for the moment.
Definitely.
And in my own opinion, I don't ask everybody to agree with it, but I think it's still also a little bit a nice to have because it doesn't take so much time to extract a SEPA file and to upload it to the bank. But of course, the future is to automate everything. I totally agree, but I think it's not the one that takes the most of the time for an accountant to do. But I totally agree with you guys that you didn't do it if it was a regression against the SEPA file that works very, very well.
Yes, and somehow we identified that at the clients that we hear about and the partners, sometimes rather than waiting for this automation, it's maybe the process that can be reconsidered. Why not make sure that all those signatures and approvals are done in Odoo before the XML is generated. Then once generated,
I
it can
think
live its own life.
no, no. Of course you're right, but I think what they mean is also instead of exporting the XML file and uploading it to the bank, having like a VAT return or whatever, like that it's sent by API
Yeah, an
in one
integration.
click without any intervention.
Okay.
Well, talking about the future and potential, um, is there already a roadmap for Odoo 18? And where does Odoo 17 lack, in your opinion, or where can it get even better?
The official roadmap, or what I would like to have in
You
the
can choose
roadmap?
how to answer.
I, I would say no, there is no written roadmap here and now. There is a list that we have in mind of potential improvements, but to be honest, it is also why we are here today. It's to make sure that what we have in mind fits with what the community needs, or it would be a disconnection that we would regret at some point. So no, it's not written, even though, of course, we know what we are playing at and we have potentially good ideas. Odoo Experience is an opportunity for us to adapt and make sure that we are in line with the demand.
And also, if you ask me, I think Odoo 17 is just amazing. So I don't have any ideas yet. Of course, I do, but I think the version of now is already so amazing. You've seen it during all the afternoon. There is a lot of new features in accounting. We had to push a lot in order for the R&D department to be able to do all of that already. So it's already a great accomplishment that they were able to do so many stuff in Odoo 17 that we basically received everything we asked for nearly. So it's already a great accomplishment, I think. But yeah, of course, there is still some interesting stuff to develop. But the roadmap at Odoo, if not only for accounting, I believe, for all the other apps, it can it can change continuously.
And I see it very positively. It means that even some years, even 2 months before, we identified things that we can't avoid. It has to be done. I will take as an example the evolution of analytic accounting in V16 and in V17. It had to, well, we got plenty of positive feedbacks about analytic accounting in 16. Hopefully you won't say the opposite. But there was a margin of improvement that only maturity can bring to our eyes. And we did those changes, and those changes were decided 6 weeks before today. So, and it's been done. So I like the way it works. I like the way we have an adaptive roadmap.
Totally agree.
For accounting AI, it only detects account field or the text fields, but can it also detect the analytical account fields?
Well, the answer would be no, and I'm not sure that that's necessary because, well, basically the way that analytic accounts are computed is based upon, let's say, another model, another way of calculation, which go way more larger than only, let's say, the supplier and the label. We can still improve it, I think, but you can make sure that analytic accounts are set based upon product category, but also labels on partners, specific partners,
Product
accounts.
categories.
So it's way more larger than only a label and a supplier. So I think already there is way more possibilities. So it doesn't matter if there is no artificial intelligence in there, because based upon the account that is filled in by the artificial intelligence, for example, analytic accounts will follow, which is way more powerful, I think, than what is today happening with the accounts, right?
I share your point of view. So no, for the moment we don't foresee that.
But I think that we can make it easier to create the default values. That's for sure. But we will discuss it.
We will
after,
discuss it again.
Yes.
There's an accountant here that asks or tells me that they have to do a lot of adaptations manually to export the chart of accounts and to finally import it into the BNB. Is there a tool to make this
I think
easier?
that we have great news because first of all, you can export now. I hope it's in Belgium, right? But I guess so.
BNB, I guess.
There is the possibility to export now your trial balance in TXT, which is the XBRL file, in order to upload it in one click on On the national bank, right? There's a new export. Is the XBRL export?
No, not yet. We don't
It
have
is there?
in the XBRL export in
No,
the.
it's in TXT. No.
It's in TXT. No, XBRL is a format.
Yeah, but there is. You did one thing, I think. There is a new specific format that answer that, but for the others, we have an active sync with Silverfin, because basically in all the countries, not only in Belgium, we most of the time cover accounting and VAT. We don't go larger because we don't have always that expertise in house, and once that we develop it, we need to maintain it, etc. So it's complicated for us. If we do it for Belgium, maybe we have to do it for other countries as well. So we try to find some partners that are specialized in that. And in this case, well, we have an active sync with Silverfin, who is not only working in Belgium, in different countries as well. That's one of the reasons why we interacted with them. And because they have an open API, we as well, they connect on Odoo and they sync your accounting in real time. And it's their job to handle, let's say, everything that comes after accounting, like annual accounts and tax reports, etc. But again, I'm not sure which file it is, but there is a specific export for Belgium that you added in the general ledger, I think, or in the trial balance, which makes it easier if you don't use Silverfin to be able to upload it on Acon.
Okay. I need to check.
Yeah, you cannot know everything.
No.
Another question:
Yes.
Can you sync the configuration and reports in one time over different databases?
No.
No.
No, but if you work with a technical person or whatever, I think it's an accounting firm that asks for that, because indeed the setup for accounting firms is one single database per customer. Well, we do it for some accounting firms, some bigger accounting firms that have multiple databases, hundreds or thousands. If they want to make a change on all of their customers, what we do is that they can interact with the technical consultant at Odoo or with a partner, of course, to generate a script, because we have an open API, so we can connect to all the databases by API, and we inject it by script. So we do it a lot for accounting firms. I guess it's the purpose over here. So yes, it's possible, but you cannot do it by yourself. You should write the script and use it. Do it with us or with a partner.
Here's a question: Is it possible to calculate commissions for and bonuses for insurance agent companies?
Yes, the answer is no. There is no specific feature for that. But if we should cover those kind of features, then we should be able to handle different features always for one specific need. In this case, what I advise, because of course the question comes regularly, is to create a spreadsheet. It's actually pretty cool. You just create your spreadsheet, you add your formulas next to it, and it updates in real time. So you can basically calculate all of these commissions directly based upon real-time data. Because otherwise it would be a feature only for that, but with spreadsheets you have way more possibilities. So for me, that would be the answer. I don't know if you.
I agree.
Okay.
Is Auto Reconcile able to match payments with sale order numbers instead, if the customer entered the sale order number instead of the invoice number?
No.
No.
And it's not even with the invoice number, right?
No,
It's based upon amount.
The auto reconciliation works based on two possibilities. There are two methods. It compares items on the debit side and the credit side that match together. The amounts are the same on both items. The reconciliation is so each and every reconciliation, even though it involves a lot of items, it works 2 by 2 in the process. So it compares 2 by 2, or it takes a bunch of items, and if the balance is 0, it reconciles everything.
But it might be an interesting feedback, right? If you have multiple debit and credits corresponding together, instead of taking the oldest one, checking if in the reference you can match, it might be a V2. But for the moment, there is not.
It might be. We need to think about it.
Well, it looks like the time is up. There's still a lot of questions.
Yeah, if there are still a lot of questions, feel free to come and see us right over here. We won't move directly.
Maybe a last question from me. What is, for the two of you, your favorite new functionality?
Well, I think if I can talk for myself, I think we took like, can I say 100 hours, something like that, to convince Fabien in order to have the new analytic accounting. So without any hesitation, for me, it's the analytic accounting.
And for me as well, even though it's neglecting plenty of efforts that have been done, but if I was a user, and I am one, out of my experience, the feature that would have saved me the biggest time and effort is clearly the possibility to cross analytic plans.
Completely agreed. Okay, thank you very much, and feel free to come by. We remain here. Thanks.